And so Don Jr. is on the spin room after the debate, and he's asked here about J.D. Vance's performance. J.D. Vance was a Don Jr. special. He was reportedly, along with his brother Eric, a big reason why Trump picked J.D. Vance for VP. So here's what he had to say to Caitlin Collins.
Debate itself, it was very civil. I mean, they acknowledged when they agreed. They gave each other the benefit of the doubt. Should we see more of that on the debate stage when your dad's up there?
You know what? I'd love to see that across the board. Sometimes the political climate isn't that much. We've all heard about Trump derangement syndrome. We've seen what they've lied about my family. I was an agent of Russia, but Hunter Biden stopped. I was totally Russian disinformation. Turns out the opposite was true. The media did that. They created so much of that environment. The media has radicalized the people that are trying to kill my father. I've had to deal with that twice now in the last 2 months. I've had to have that conversation with my 5 young children twice in the last 2 months about someone trying to shoot their grandfather. That didn't just magically happen. That's not him. That's a media-created fake Russia scenario.
Can you pause it for a what? So this is why. Keep reminding people about these assassination attempts. Just keep doing it, guys, because honestly, it does not have the desired effect that they want. All it does is remind people of Donald Trump equals chaos
and the insanity in this country.
Violence, insanity, him just being around, his divisiveness. This is the kind of thing that when you talk to normies or whatever, they're just like, oh, he's exhausting. Oh, he's divisive. The J.D. Vance last night was trying to dispel that by basically saying Trump's policies, but doing it in this slick corporate lawyer venture capitalist kind of way. Standard Republican politics. And if Trump was not constantly creating chaos by saying things like they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, and J.D. Vance has to clean up on aisle 5 about it, and the Republican Party has to respond to it and back him up while also trying to attack Harris, it puts them in a difficult position. The Democrats, if they were running this kind of campaign against somebody who was more disciplined than Donald Trump, would be losing this election. So keep reminding people of these assassination attempts, because all it does is reinforce the chaos narrative for the Democrats.
Because nobody hears that and is like, yeah, I think it's the Democrats' fault for turning the temperature up so much in this country.
No one.
Nobody thinks that.
Again.
I think it's Joy Reid.
63% of independents per ABC News believe that Biden won the election in 2020. So if you keep talking about January 6th and violence and political violence that reminds them of Trump's extremism, that is important for engendering negative partisanship in this election. I've gotten off track here, but here he is whining some more.
Not him. That's a media-created fake Russia scenario. They ran with it for years. Even when it was disproven, they still ran with it. That environment wasn't just created by Donald Trump.
Okay, but can I say, you can't blame, and everyone wants your dad to be safe. No one wants the threats against his life to happen, but you can't blame the media for those threats. There's been no evidence that's what drove those.
And allows people to have a platform to call someone literally Hitler every day for 9 years.
That was Vance.
Okay. Whether you want to believe it or not, that's a fact.
But as you know, J.D. Vance once likened your dad to Hitler as well. He questioned if he was America's Hitler. But I want to talk about the debate. Do you want your dad to do another debate after seeing tonight?
You know what? I don't think he can have a chance at getting a fair debate. I don't think there's moderators out there that will do that. I think there are probably Fox moderators that are so worried about even trying to appease the left that they'd actually maybe even.
Well, your dad said CNN gave him a fair debate.
Well, he offered to do the Fox debate. Just so we're clear, my father weeks ago said, well, I'll do a Fox debate too. Kamala Harris turned that down because she can only go in, she can only do an interview with a sidekick like Tim Walz on her side. She can only do it when she knows she's going to have that upper hand. So I don't think in this environment you can do it. The reality is this. What's unique about this election is you had 4 years under Trump. You had 4 years under Harris.
Can I pause
Biden.
it? Sorry. I know he was making a lot of good points there. He said the thing about don't call my dad Hitler. And this must be a tough thing for him to deal with because his mother, Ivana Trump, in 1999, Ivana Trump told her lawyer Donald Trump kept Hitler speeches besides the bed. Now, this wasn't even Mein Kampf. This is the deep cut. This is like when you have the Arctic Monkeys B-sides. He had a collection of Hitler speeches next to his bedside table. Now, that was said in the divorce proceedings. It's quite a detail to make up. Like, usually you think if you're going to make something like that up, you just say Mein Kampf, right? Like, the detail that it was Hitler's collected speeches
is very
rings
specific
true to me.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if that were the case. Look, like eating the dogs and eating the cats thing
Goebbels.
was a neo-Nazi rumor.
Literally.
That Trump ran with, and then JD Vance cleaned up and also ran with it.
And a Nazi ran with that, a local
from a group called Blood Tribe.
Blood Pride.
I think it was Tribe, but we got it wrong. But
really?
happy that we didn't give them unnecessary PR. But is that the end of it, Bradley? That clip? It's funny though. She calls him out about the Hitler thing to his face. But look, Vance, he was able to, I guess, normalize himself a little bit last night. They probably are doing victory laps over there on Fox News. Let's actually tune into Fox News. Let's see what Jesse Waters had to say about JD Vance's performance last night. He took some time away from slashing women's tires so that he could take them home. That's how he met his wife, an intern at Fox News. When he was still married to his wife, he took the air out of her tires and brags about it. So that she would
There's
need
like
him.
so much I would love to know about being a 21-year-old girl.
That's the energy. That's a preview. Creepy Bill Maher creeping on Hawk to a girl. That's Jesse Waters' future and looking into the future. Anyway, here he is saying how hot JD Vance is.
Oops. I mean, he said he was in China during Tiananmen Square. I wasn't in China. That's pretty bad.
I was in China a few weeks later.
JD Vance, everybody thought this guy was a bad guy. They were saying he was a creep. He looked beautiful tonight. He looked humble. He looked earnest, sharp. 20 years younger than Walz, new generation. I thought he was very polished.
Okay, good thing that no one gives a crap about the VP debates in that regard, because Walz called it out. Walz said that Trump would be nearly 80 as president, and do you have faith in JD Vance, etc.? The entire narrative was flipped in that regard, but
that's something that should be kept in people's minds as we sort of avoided, them running Biden again. Is Trump is going to be going through the same age span that Biden went through in his 4 years, and what that if Trump wins, he's going to be absolutely insane, or he is not going to finish his term and barely finish it like Biden is, and we're going to have JD Vance as a acting president.
That's
quite a thought.
That would be terrifying too. Here we go.
20 years younger than Walz, new generation. I thought he was very polished. And then Walz didn't do what Walz was supposed to do. He didn't help with men tonight. He really never explained what Kamala's policies are. Did you guys get that? I still don't know what she wants to do. And then he talked about Minnesota more than he talked about her. JD's best times were when he said, well, housing costs are up now. Groceries up now. Borders open now. She's in power now. Why doesn't she fix it? She can do it right now, and she hasn't. The best line is when he said, Trump doesn't have just a plan. He has a record. And you can look at the record. And then he said, we're going to restore the American dream. CBS was terrible. Second question on climate change. You guys should have been doing this debate. That would not have been the second question.
I thought they're begging for a second debate on Fox. CNN was just doing the same thing in that interview with Don Jr. by saying, like, why won't he agree to another debate? They're all angling for their own purposes. But the CNN thing puts Trump in a bit of a bind because CNN was the moderators for the Biden Trump debate. Trump waxed poetically about how fair and honest CNN was in his treatment of him because he won the debate by default because Biden short-circuited on stage. Now Fox is angling to do their own second debate. The problem is that Trump's heart just isn't in this anymore, and he doesn't feel like he needs to do another debate and doesn't really want to at this point. It would be bad for him, right? Even though the debate went so poorly for him, the thing that might stick out as the most recent event in people's minds is going to be this vice presidential debate, although I don't know how much of an impact it has, but especially as chaos and war rages in the Middle East due to Biden's incompetence on this front, Trump would much rather that be the narrative going into the race than another debate that would remind people of Trump's insanity. That's why he's not been doing a ton of media. That's why he turned down 60 Minutes. They're saying, let him do his thing with the base. Let him rile them up and say insane things at his rallies. And then let's deploy J.D. Vance out there who can do a slick, polished version of what Trump has to say. Even with his unfavorables, they prefer that. And Sam was alluding to this earlier. They prefer that to Trump saying something insane and them having to clean up the mess later on.
It's really frustrating that a guy like J.D. Vance is taking this sort of like economic populist tact. Larry, and sort of blame the other for it. The housing in this country has not been built at the pace it should be for basically my entire adult life, starting with the financial crisis. Instead, Barack Obama and the Democrats that were in power made a lot of money and gave it to banks that literally paid for J.D. Vance to sell his community out and become Peter Thiel's foot massager, a venture capitalist gopher, plant in elections. And and that's what I really liked that. And I wish there was more pointed stuff from Walz, because he did get the jabs in, but like we said, like it was like he was saying, you forgot your zipper, as opposed to say you're a freak who is here because moneyed interests put you here to blame everyone else but them for the problems of this country. But like that a guy that works for Peter Thiel gets to complain about the lack of housing in this country is insane to me.
Yeah, and there wasn't a fine enough point on the driver of those costs. There hasn't been enough focus on the housing piece of the platform at all, which was one of the strongest pieces that she introduced during the pre-convention part of the campaign. And that seems very deliberate to me.
Hey folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.